Have you ever wondered how the Israel-Gaza conflict originated? Let's take a step back to the aftermath of World War II. In an attempt to provide a homeland for Jewish survivors of the Holocaust, the United Nations proposed a partition plan in 1947, dividing the British Mandate of Palestine into two separate entities, one Jewish and one Arab. The Jewish Agency for Palestine accepted the plan, and thus, the State of Israel was created in 1948. But here's the rub. The Arab countries vehemently rejected the UN proposal, leading to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes. They found themselves in refugee camps in neighboring Arab countries, and in what became known as the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Fast forward to 1987, a period marked by heightened tensions and widespread civil unrest. This period witnessed the rise of Hamas, an Islamic militant group, out of the Gaza Strip. Hamas was initially seen as a counterbalance to the Palestine Liberation Organization, but its influence grew to be much more significant. The same year, the First Intifada erupted, a Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation. This was a turning point in the Israel-Palestinian conflict, bringing the issue to the forefront of international attention. The Intifada, with its stone-throwing protests and widespread civil disobedience, reflected the deep-seated resentment and frustration of the Palestinians living under Israeli occupation. So the seeds of discord were sown, setting the stage for a conflict that would span decades. As tensions simmered, violence erupted intermittently. Let's delve into some of these instances. The Second Intifada, a period of intensified Israeli-Palestinian violence, began in late September 2000. Sparked by the controversial visit of the then Israeli opposition leader Ariel Sharon to the Temple Mount, or Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, the conflict escalated into a full-blown uprising. This 5-year-long face-off was marked by suicide bombings, military operations, and the loss of thousands of lives on both sides. The aftermath was a heightened sense of distrust and animosity, with peace negotiations coming to a grinding halt. Fast forward to late December 2008. The Gaza War, or Operation Cast Lead as Israel called it, broke out. This 3-week-long military campaign was triggered by the expiration of a 6-month-long ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The Israeli government launched airstrikes and a ground invasion in response to rockets fired from Gaza into its territory. The war resulted in substantial infrastructural damage in Gaza and significant loss of life, further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in the region. 6 years later, in the summer of 2014, another devastating conflict ensued, the 50-day-long Gaza War, known as Operation Protective Edge by Israel. The war began with the abduction and murder of 3 Israeli teenagers, which Israel attributed to Hamas. In response to the subsequent Israeli crackdown, Hamas fired rockets into Israel, leading to a full-scale war. The war caused immense destruction in Gaza and claimed numerous lives on both sides. These flares of violence only deepened the divide, making the path to peace seem increasingly elusive. In recent years, the conflict has witnessed some critical developments. The year 2021 saw an intense flare-up of violence between Israel and Gaza. This conflict was triggered by a series of events, key among them being confrontations in Jerusalem's Old City and a contentious nationalist flag march. The Flag March is an annual event where Israeli nationalists celebrate Israel's capture of Jerusalem's Old City during the 1967 Middle East War. The procession passes through the Muslim Quarter, a move seen as a provocation by many Palestinians. The Islamist group Hamas, which seeks to establish new rules over Jerusalem, has threatened renewed violence if the march enters Muslim neighborhoods. This tension culminated in Hamas launching rockets into Israel after the march, sparking an 11-day war. The Old City of Jerusalem, particularly the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, has become a focal point of conflict. Palestinians envision East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state, while Israel regards all of Jerusalem as its eternal capital. This divergence in aspirations has only served to escalate tensions and violence. The international community has not been a mere spectator in these developments. The Palestinian Authority presidency has condemned Israel's military operation and called for a strong response at a United Nations Security Council session. On the other hand, the United Nations priority has been to restore the fuel supply to Gaza, as the power plant shutdown has resulted in electricity cuts and water treatment shutdowns. In the midst of these developments, Egypt has been instrumental in mediating ceasefires, offering a glimmer of hope in the bleak landscape of conflict. However, The meeting of the leader of Islamic Jihad with Iranian officials during the clashes underscores the complex web of regional dynamics at play. These recent developments show that the conflict is far from over, and the quest for peace continues. But what about the people caught in the crossfire? What is the humanitarian impact of this conflict? As the tensions continue to escalate, it's the innocent civilians who bear the brunt of this relentless conflict. The loss of lives is staggering. On one weekend of violence alone, over 40 lives were lost, 15 of which were children. These numbers are a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict, a cost that extends beyond the immediate casualties. The physical destruction is also immense. Infrastructure, homes, and schools are left in ruins, leading to the displacement of thousands of people. Forced to flee their homes, these individuals face an uncertain future, grappling with the harsh realities of life in temporary shelters, often without access to basic necessities. Economically, the region is in a state of turmoil. Trade and commerce are severely affected, leading to rampant unemployment and poverty. The infrastructure that supports health and education systems in Gaza is decimated, leaving countless individuals without access to essential services. The psychological impact of this conflict is equally profound. Living under the constant threat of violence has severe implications for the mental health of the populations on both sides. Children in particular bear the brunt of this psychological toll, growing up in an environment marked by fear and uncertainty. But let's not forget about the less visible yet equally devastating impacts. The disruption of essential services such as water treatment and electricity supply is a stark reality. The shutting down of Gaza's power plant, for instance, has led to widespread electricity cuts and water treatment shutdowns, exacerbating the already dire humanitarian situation. And then there's the long-term impact on the region's social fabric. The tension and hostility fueled by this conflict have far-reaching implications, sowing seeds of mistrust and animosity that could take generations to heal. It's clear that the cost of this conflict is immense, not just in terms of lives lost, but in the long-term impact on the people of the region. So where do we go from here? Is there a path to peace in the Israel-Gaza conflict? The pathway to resolution is far from clear, but there are several proposed solutions that merit exploration. One such solution is the two-state solution, where Palestine and Israel coexist as separate sovereign nations. This solution, however, has been met with considerable resistance from both sides due to issues of territorial disputes and security concerns. Then we have the one-state solution, which proposes a single unified state where both Israelis and Palestinians are given equal rights. Yet, this solution too is fraught with challenges as it raises questions about the preservation of a Jewish state and the potential for further conflict. Another proposed solution is the confederation model, where Israel and Palestine would remain separate entities but share certain governmental responsibilities. This model aims to balance sovereignty with cooperation, though its feasibility remains a subject of debate. In any case, the role of the international community cannot be overstated. Global powers like the United Nations and various nations can influence the situation through diplomatic efforts and peacekeeping missions. They can also exert pressure through economic sanctions or incentives, pushing both sides towards negotiation. However, obstacles to peace are numerous and complex. Deep-seated mistrust, historical grievances, and political instability are but a few of the challenges that must be overcome. The presence of extremist factions, the issue of Israeli settlements, and the status of Jerusalem further complicate the matter. Despite these obstacles, the importance of dialogue and negotiation remains paramount. History has shown us that violence only begets more violence, escalating the conflict and causing unnecessary suffering. Dialogue opens the door to understanding, fostering empathy, and bridging cultural divides. It allows both sides to voice their concerns, articulate their needs, and work towards a common goal: peace. While the path to peace is fraught with challenges, the hope for a resolution endures, reminding us all of the power of dialogue, negotiation, and understanding.